Greetings, boys and girls. I hope that this reaches you well. Today, you, my friends, get to make a choice. You get to choose where we're going on a field trip. Woo! Woo! I hear all the excitement in the room. Okay, simmer down. Let me finish telling you about the project. So, today's project, and y'all know I'm normally there for a project. And I wanted to be there for this project. But I'm having you do this project instead of the test we were originally going to do. So, that said, I really want you to do a good job on this project. If you don't do a good job, we're never going to do a project ever again. Okay, that's probably not the case, but if you don't do a good job, you're just going to have to do it over. You don't want to do that either. So, really do a good job. I think this is a project you're going to like, especially since we're going on a field trip next Tuesday. So with this project, you get to choose where we're going to go. We have $15,000 extra of money in the 4th grade account. Woo-hoo! So we need your help deciding how to spend it. We're going to go on a field trip, and we're taking 78 students and 6 chaperones on this field trip. So we're going to go to one of 5 places. You guys are going to do the deciding for that. Fiasco, Texas, SeaWorld, Houston for the Space Center, the State Fair of Texas outside of Dallas, or the Dallas World Aquarium. So those are our 5 choices that we are considering. So it's going to be up to you all to make the decision. Each of you is going to have your own project that you do. This is not a class decision. Someone may want us to go to Fiasco, Texas, while someone else may say, can we go to Houston? Whatever that is, we're going to be looking at each of these projects. So when you do the project, there are going to be some things you have to do. The first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to figure out how much does it cost for all of us to get into the place we want to go to. So every place we go to has an admission fee, okay, a ticket price. And sometimes the child's ticket price is different from the adult's ticket price. So you'll have to be mindful of that. But you have to figure out the cost of going to either of those places for 78 students and 6 adults, okay? After you decide, and to help you figure out the price, I do have on the website, victoriajpayne.com/class, there's a nice little picture of the field trip Fiasco, which looks very similar to the top of your page with the school bus and the words. You're going to click on that, and I have all of the links right there for you. You do not have to type in each link by yourself, okay? And so you can click on the link for Fiasco, Texas tickets. You can click on the link for SeaWorld tickets. You can click on the link for the Space Center tickets, the State Fair of Texas tickets, as well as the Dallas World Aquarium tickets, okay? You'll be able to go there. After you figure out and be mindful, you need to round that ticket price to the nearest dollar. I don't want any change with that one, okay? After you figure out that, the second step is going to be to figure out how many buses are going to be needed. There is a page, the 3rd page in your packet gives information about school bus rentals, okay? Each bus seats up to 55 people, and then there's a price for the bus to Dallas, there's a price for the bus to Houston, and good news, if we stay here in San Antonio, we don't have to pay for buses. They are all free, okay? After you figure out the number of buses, you are then going to figure out the cost of the bus, okay? So if we have to get 3 buses to take us all there, then you would take the bus price and multiply that by 3, okay? So just keep that in mind. All right. Okay, the next part of your project, after you figured out how much it's going to cost to get into the park or wherever we're going, and then how much it's going to cost for buses and how many buses we're going to need, you're going to have to figure out the cost per student of the buses. Now, this is a time I'm going to let you use a trusty calculator. Now, the good news is we do have a few in the classroom. That's the good news. The good news is I'm letting you use it for this line item. That's the good news. Okay, bad news is you can't use the calculator for the other things that you have to compute, okay? You're only going to use it for 2 items where you'll probably have a decimal. So you're figuring out the cost per student of the buses. Therefore, you're going to have to think about how much do the buses cost all together, and then when it's a per thing, you're going to be dividing by the number of students. That's the only hint I'm going to give you right there. Okay? I trust you can do it well on your own. When you give me the price per student, the cost per student, I really want that number rounded to the nearest cent or rounded to the nearest penny. Okay? It's not rounded to the nearest dollar. And you're not going to write a decimal with like 8 digits past the decimal point. I don't want to see that. Okay? Round it to the nearest cent. After you figure out the cost per student of the buses, you have to figure out the cost of food for 78 kids and 6 adults. Now, also on the 3rd page, right after you have the school bus rental information, you have meals for students. Now, the good news about the meals for students is we have 3 places we're thinking about: Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, and Little Caesars Pizza. You're going to choose what we get to eat on this field trip. Be mindful. For some things, you're going to need to make sure everybody gets fed plenty. Okay? And so, let me also draw your attention to this page where it says field trip options. If we stay here in San Antonio, you only got to feed the kids lunch. That's it. However, if we go to Houston or Dallas, we all need to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So that's 3 meals you'll have to make sure everyone has. Okay, be mindful of that when you're figuring out where you want to eat. When you look on this page, be mindful. Some things say breakfast and some things are lunch options. Okay? So after you have figured out the cost of food for 78 students and 6 chaperones, you're then going to figure out how much money do we have left over after paying for food, admission costs, and transportation. So you're going to figure out how much money you have. Now be mindful. When I'm asking you to do the calculations, finding out the number of buses we need, finding out how much all the buses cost, figuring out how much the food costs, I need to see your computations on the grid paper. You know that nice stack of grid paper that I have in the room still? Make sure that you are using grid paper. When I give you a grade for this, I look at that grid paper. I need to see that everything is neatly organized, and I need to see your computations, because at the end of the day, I want to know that you can do the multiplication and the division and the subtraction. Okay? So you're going to figure out how much everything costs up to this point, and then you're going to figure out how much money are we starting with? Did she tell us? Is it on our paper? Is it in the first sentence of our paper how much money we're starting with? You'll use that to then figure out how much money is left over. All right. The 7th thing that you need to figure out for this project is the amount of money per student that will be left over. So like the amount of money left over per student that they'll be able to use to buy a souvenir. Unfortunately, there is a small little typo. It says to spend on souvenir buses. It's not souvenir buses, but to spend on souvenirs, okay? So you get to use a calculator to figure this one out. Unfortunately, we're not talking about getting souvenirs for the teachers. We're just thinking about kids, okay? So I guess if I need something, I'll use my own money for it. But you're going to figure out, once we figured out in step 6 how much money was left over, you're going to take that amount of money and you're going to equally share it among the 78 students going on the field trip. You get to use a calculator for this, and I need that number rounded to the nearest cent, the nearest penny. Don't round it to the nearest dollar, because I will count it wrong. Did you hear me? Wrong. I will count it wrong. You will get an X for it, okay? Make sure you round it to the nearest penny. Okay. The last thing I say on your cover sheet is be sure to organize your information into a data table so it is easier to present the information to the teachers. Yes, we want it to be easy to look at and see what you're recommending. And so, oh la la, what is this? It's a paper. Oh, look. And it says, my recommendation for our 4th grade field trip by, and then there's a really, really long line. Look at that long line. It is so long. It looks long enough to write your first and your last name on it. Oh, boys and girls, please do me a huge favor right now. Go ahead and put your first and last name on it, because if I don't know who recommended it, then somebody got a 0. And I don't want it to be you. Go ahead and put your first and your last name neatly, okay? If you're making a recommendation to teachers and you turn them in something that looks like chicken scratch, do you think the teachers are going to take it that serious? Probably not. So please write neatly your first and last name. Then, some blanks some boxes I've already filled in for you. Others, you have to fill in. You're going to take the information that you have found out and you're going to put it on these lines. So admission cost for all students and chaperones, total cost of buses, number of buses needed. You're going to neatly write on here. Now, the last thing I want to say about this project is this. Boys and girls, you're using a calculator for 2 items on here, only 2 things. The other things I need to see your work. Make sure you show me your work on the grid paper. Put your first and last name on the grid paper as well. Eyes are big. Put your first and last name on the grid paper. Okay, because I don't want to be confused as to whose that is. Remember, I'm giving you a grade based on your work as well as what I see on this last page. I hope you all really have fun with this project. We're getting ready to go on a field trip next week, and hey, I will say that we will keep in mind the things that you guys have suggested on here if it's all nice and neatly done. So do your best work. Y'all know we work hard in here. You have more than enough time to get this finished, so please don't waste time. There is no reason that any student in my class will not be finished with this entire project. Feel me? You understand? We're on the same page? Same page, same page? Excellent. I look forward to your great work, and even more, I look forward to seeing you guys on Monday. Take care, have a great rest of the day, and please work hard and show our subs just how amazing you guys are as students. Bye-bye.